Hello everybody on YouTube and all the NHL lovers out there. This is Andrew Warren, back here once again giving you the second round of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Yes, the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs have come to a close. Unfortunately, I didn't particularly do well, but, you know, the two teams I got in the Stanley Cup finals are still in, so grateful for that. St. Louis beating Minnesota, going to the next round, and Nashville surprisingly beating Chicago, which they swept Chicago, which nobody would have predicted that, and they end up facing St. Louis in the second round. As Anaheim, as I predicted, I thought that would be 5 games, I said, but instead that went to 4 games, and they swept Calgary, and they go on to the second round against the Edmonton Oilers, who they beat the San Jose Sharks, who are the Western Conference the finals champs. So, you know, down goes that. So, San Jose. So now it's going to be the Ducks and Edmonton in the second round. So my thoughts about this. So I was really surprised that Nashville was going to be in the second round. That was a team I did not expect to make it. I thought this was a team that it's going to be like, all right, they're grateful in the playoffs, you know, let's just go out and have fun. Eventually they did, and they won. They had more fun when they won the series too against Chicago. Because Chicago in recent years have been one of the most dominant teams in the West, and especially in the Central Division. And they end up going to face, end up going to the second round how they did it. But they did it with a lot of the shooting guard. They had a lot of pressure going on Chicago, and Chicago, all they needed to do was, you know, just shoot some goals, and you know how that goes. But, you know, this was not the Chicago Blackhawks that I'm not used to seeing for a little while. So maybe they're going to take a step back a little bit. Who knows? But we'll wait and see how that one goes. For Minnesota and excuse me for a minute. Minnesota and St. Louis. Okay, this is what I expected. I thought Minnesota was going to be like the top dog coming in the Central Division in the second round. Well, facing Chicago, then I think those two will go like a 7-game series. But if it was Minnesota and Chicago, I think that would be a 7-game series, I think. But that didn't turn out to be the case. It turned out to be St. Louis and Nashville. But in my case scenario for St. Louis, I was hoping that I can't think of his name. Vladimir Tarasenko. I expected him to do well in that series too, but despite I predicted them losing, but he didn't finally get his first goal in Game 5, and that sent to overtime into that one, and going to that game, he ended up scoring the first goal of that last game against Minnesota, and that at that breaking point they tried to go to a 2-0 lead, and then a 3-1 lead, and they went to overtime. Minnesota came back. And then St. Louis won it from there. But how I feel about this series, I thought, without TJ Oshie, I think St. Louis was going to bounce back a little bit. But instead, they end up going to be going to this and going to the second round. So that was a big surprise to me for that. In all honesty, I expected them to not to be going to the second round either. But I thought they were going to make a step back a little bit. But hey, they surprised me too. So, and now Nashville and St. Louis are going to meet in the second round, which I believe St. Louis will get the home ice. So, yeah, St. Louis does get the home ice. But in my case, I think this is going to be a Game 6 series. I think it's going to be a 6-game series. And I think St. Louis is going to cover that, and then they're going to win that series right there in 6 games. So I'm going to do the second round with them now, and I'm predicting that St. Louis is going to win this series in 6 games. It'll be in 4 games to 2. They'll probably wrap it up in Nashville. Because I expected that, you know. I think St. Louis is a team that's going to make it, now I think about it. I think St. Louis is going to make it that far. But, you know, I expected that. But I expected Vladimir, I'm really bad with pronouncing people's names in the NHL, especially all around. But Vladimir Tastaneko. I think he's gonna get his more momentum going in the second round after having a frustrating first round he had. So I think he's gonna try to outduke Nashville more. So I think I expected that to happen. So I'm predicting St. Louis beating Nashville, and advancing to the conference finals and the Western Conference Finals on that one. So I'm gonna cover that one. And on to the my thoughts for the Ducks in Calgary. I expected the Anaheim Ducks to go like that. I think they're riding on a 8-game winning streak or something like that. 8-9 or something like that. I know they had a winning streak going on during the beginning at the end of the season, and they just tried winning after that. So it's 8-9, maybe 10, something like that. But I expected them to keep going with this against Calgary. But I just had a feeling that Calgary didn't have a chance against Anaheim at all. I think Anaheim's the team of destiny to get this. So honestly, in all honesty on that, but I think now the Ducks are in the second round though. They're going to play Edmonton, and Edmonton had a great series too. I did not expect Edmonton to lose to San Jose. I expected San Jose to get 7 games out of that, which for the Ducks in Calgary, they went 5 games. I mean 4 games, but I said 5 games, which I expected Edmonton to lose in 6 games, but I got the 6 games covered right, but I didn't get the point spread out of that. So I'm gonna say Edmonton going to the second round. That was a surprise for me for Edmonton, and I think the Sharks too are gonna bounce back a little bit too. For them? Let's see. I don't know about that, but I think they're gonna bounce back a little bit too. But most of the Sharks players are getting too old, I think. So I think they're gonna bounce back. So that's what I'm thinking right now. So that's why I think Edmonton's gonna advance in the second round, maybe. But we'll see how that one goes. Now for the Ducks in Edmonton, I expect the Ducks to do the exact same thing what they did to Calgary, but with Edmonton. But I think Edmonton may give them a shot or two, but I don't really know. But this is going to be very interesting to see how this one's going to lay out, because it's going to be a little bit. Edmonton will give the Ducks a hard time, I think, but I think I think the Ducks are going to end their winning streak. Edmonton's going to end the winning streak for the Ducks, but I still think the Ducks are going to win this series. So I'm going to predict the Ducks win the series, and I think this game is going to be 5 games. So I think Edmonton's going to get 1 game out of that. So. And I believe if it's going to be a game they're going to win, I think it's going to win at home. So I expected maybe game 3 or game 4 or something like that, or a little something like that, So I expected them to win a home game in Edmonton, because Edmonton's pretty good at home this year. And they haven't done really well on the road. Well, I know they did. I think they did pretty well this year in the playoffs on the road, more than they have in the regular season. But, But I think the Ducks are the team of destiny for this. I'm going to say the Ducks are going to move on to the conference finals against the St. Louis Blues in that series, 4-1. So that's my prediction for that one. Now on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Excuse me for a minute, My thoughts going into this. Okay, I'm going to start off with the Rangers and Canadiens. Okay. Montreal, I expected Montreal to be in. I would have, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad they didn't. Knowing me, I'm a diehard Bruins fan, which I'll cover the Bruins and the Senators in a minute. But on honesty, though, seeing Montreal losing in the first round just made me happy. Made me really, really happy on that one. Especially when Claude Julien, as the head coach of Montreal, makes me laugh even more. So. Who knows what the future holds for Claude Julien in Montreal, so we'll see how that one turns out. But, in the meantime, with the Rangers going in there, oh my God. Oh my God. But, and let's see how this one turns out with the Rangers in the next round. But I predicted 7 games to cover that with Montreal, but I got that one wrong. So with the series type, it went to 6 games instead of 7, so I tip my hat to the New York Rangers, and I gotta say thank you for knocking out Montreal Canadiens for me. So that made me a little bit happy. But, so for the Rangers, now as for the Ottawa Senators and the Bruins, okay, as a Bruins fan, I was just grateful they made the playoffs for the first time in 3 years, so I gotta live up to the hype for that. So I was pretty excited to see them in the playoffs again, which I believe they got the third. Wow, they got the number 3 seed, which I believe they did. So I'm kind of grateful they made it, but we got a bad call in the end of the game when David Pastrnak got in the penalty box, and all of a sudden, just like that, not like 30 seconds into the power play, the Senators scored the game-winning goal in overtime. That one really bite me in the dust so bad. Ugh. Another bad call for my Bruins, and they are out of the playoffs. Yep. I kind of question that call, really. But I know the Senators early got away with it, and probably Pastrnak was thinking that, but I don't know. But in my take, wow. But I really think the Bruins, I know, even though Shower is getting old, then I think this is probably best for maybe Shower to go, maybe next year or something like that. Maybe they'll have one more ride in them to try to do something with the new coach, so we'll see how that one turns out. But in the same time, I don't know. This is going to be really tough to match up, but we'll see how that turns out with the Bruins in the future. So it might take for the Rangers and the Senators. I expected this to be a top going battle. I expect that the Rangers and the Senators can go at least. This one, I think this may go to 7 games because I think the Rangers will give the Senators a hard time. Which the Rangers they made it to the Stanley Cup in 2014, I think they made it there. But I think this is a team that could go one of the wild cards to make it to the conference finals, which I think they will against the. I think they're gonna shock Ottawa in this one. Am I taking that one? This is going to be a Game 7 series with the Ottawa Senators score a game-winning goal in overtime in Game 7, which I'm predicting that one. I'm going to go bold for that one. That one's going to go Game 7, overtime, game-winning goal. So that's what I expect to be the New York Rangers. I think they're going to be the team that's going to go to have an underdog story and probably go to the Western Conference Finals. You'll see how that one goes out. And for the big series of this one, the Washington Capitals and Alex Ovechkin versus Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins going in the Western Conference Finals. You mean going in the second round of the Eastern Conference. This is 2 metropolitan divisions battling it out, so this is going to be a really good series. I expected this to be a few overtime games, and I too expect that to be a Game 7 series. This is going to be a one for the ages we're going to be seeing. I think this is probably even better than the Stanley Cup Finals themselves, I think. This is going to be really a good series that you can expect to go either way. It can go back and forth. But I'm going to say this. I think this is finally the time for Alex Ovechkin to get something, to reach the Eastern Conference Finals. I think he's getting that this year. And I think the Washington Capitals are going to make it that far. And they're going to beat out the Pittsburgh Penguins, the defending Stanley Cup champions. Finally, for Alex Ovechkin, I really think that's what's going to happen. So I think this is going to be a Game 7 series. This series can go either way, but I expect this to be a 7-game series, and I think this is going to be one for the ages. One of the best second rounds we're going to be seeing in a long time. So I'm predicting the Washington Capitals going to the Western Conference Finals. Alex Ovechkin finally getting the hump out of him to go to the conference finals, in the Eastern Conference Finals, to take on the New York Rangers in that series. So this is going to be a really good series on that one. I'm so looking forward to those series. I'm going to be keeping you posted on the NHL playoff predictions as they much go as along. But, all that aside, and I got you covered for all what I'm predicting in this one. And I wanted to say, I'm going to be doing some more videos when I can, because I just found out I'm going to be going back to school soon. So I'm going to be coming out. So thank God. I told you I was going to go back, and I'm going to try to do something with with my literature, creative writing. I'm going to try to do something with that, do a little writing skills. I want to do something for that. Try to do like a writing course or something. I mean, I'm finally going to get that going. So I'm looking forward to doing that. So probably like a summer course or maybe something like that. So I'm gonna still keep you posted as much as I can, like I promised. But you know, I'm probably not much, so that's why I haven't really been on as much lately. So, anyways, that will wrap up. That's what I wanted to tell you for that. But I will definitely give you my football videos when I get a chance. So keep it a tune up for that after the Stanley Cup Finals are finished and everything. So I'll keep you posted for that. But anyways, this will wrap up my Stanley Cup playoff predictions for the second round. This is Andrew Orange signing off. Peace.